100 average men against a single adult silverback gorilla. This has been a debate that has been widespread over the internet recently. Now, I am slightly late to this debate, but today we are going to compare the two, man and gorilla, and we're going to do my take on who I think will win. So, we're going to begin by establishing a clear scientific comparison between a single man and a single gorilla. So let's start off with strength. This is perhaps the most frequently cited metric. An adult male gorilla, particularly a silverback, is an animal of immense physical power. Estimates vary, but scientific consensus suggests a gorilla can be anywhere from 4 to 9 times stronger than an average human male. This isn't just about raw muscle mass, it's about the unique arrangement of their musculature and skeletal structure, which is optimized for explosive bursts of power, which is crucial for climbing, tearing through dense vegetation, and defending their troop. Their short, thick limbs and broad chest contribute to their incredible leverage and power output. Think of their ability to snap bamboo stalks or effortlessly uproot small trees. These are feats far beyond human capability. But you have to keep in mind, this is a comparison between one man and one human. Yes, a silverback gorilla is 4 to 9 times stronger than one man, but if you put all 100 men together and if you do the math and compare the strength of 100 men to one gorilla, then 100 men is like 11 times stronger than the silverback gorilla. You can do the math for yourself if you'd like, and I might post it on screen. We shall see what post edit me does. But moving on to bite force, which is another factor which is highly looked into among this debate. The average human bite force typically registers around 162 pounds per square inch, which is enough to chew most foods. A gorilla's bite, however, is a different league entirely. With large, powerful jaws and robust teeth, their bite force is estimated to be around 1,300 psi. To put that into perspective, that's more than enough to crush bone or tear through tough plant fibers with ease. This powerful bite is primarily adapted for their herbivorous diet, enabling them to process fibrous plants, but it is undeniably a formidable defensive weapon as well. Now, intellect. This is where the comparison shifts dramatically in favor of the humans. While gorillas are highly intelligent primates, capable of complex social structures, learning, and even using simple tools in some observed cases, their cognitive abilities do not equate to human intellect. Humans possess a unique capacity for abstract reasoning, complex problem solving, planning, and sophisticated communication through language. We can develop elaborate strategies, invent and utilize advanced tools, and adapt our environment to suit our needs in ways no other species can. This is the fundamental difference that often gets overlooked in this debate. Now let's move beyond the one-on-one and address the core of debate: 100 men against one gorilla. This isn't a fair fight, not in the way you may imagine it. This is not a battle of individual might, but a test of collective human capability against an animal's inherent power. One of humanity's greatest strengths lies in our ability to communicate effectively. We can formulate and articulate complex plans, we can give out instructions, and we can coordinate actions in real time. Imagine 100 individuals not just running in randomly, but working together. They can strategize, designate roles, and adapt to the gorilla's movements. This level of organized collective intelligence is simply not present in a single gorilla. Now, many argue that there's 100 people. 100 people are not going to listen to each other. Many think that a good portion of people will just argue and no one will really take charge, and basically we're just going to be mad and not listen and all run in and die because we're stupid and didn't actually put a good solid plan together. And other people say like 25% of us just won't listen at all and we're just going to hide in fear. But hear me out. There's going to be a George Washington of an individual. He's going to stand up and he's going to give the greatest locker room hype speech this world has ever heard. He's going to encourage these individuals so much. He's going to empower them beyond anything that we could possibly imagine. We're going to stand up. We're going to feel united, and we're going to listen to each other. We're going to be so united and so encouraged by this speech that the gorilla might just spontaneously combust out of pure fear. And speaking of fear, many people are like, hey, we're just going to be too scared. The concept of herd mentality or mob panic is a factor that we need to consider. The argument suggests that fear would cause disarray, making the group ineffective. While fear is a primal emotion that would undoubtedly be present, it's crucial to remember that fear is not exclusive to humans. Gorillas, despite their formidable appearance, are primarily shy and reclusive animals. They are not naturally aggressive and typically they prefer to avoid confrontation. Their common defensive displays like chest beating and roaring are often bluffs designed to intimidate and deter, rather than to initiate a full-blown attack. When faced with an overwhelming, unified force of 100 approaching individuals, the gorilla would also experience immense fear, and its natural inclination would be to flee, not to engage in a suicidal battle against impossible odds. Now let's look at the part of the debate that's like, well, what if the gorilla has no fear and it just wants to whoop everyone's behind with no remorse? And this is a possibility we should consider. I think even if the gorilla is 100% fearless, we will still win, especially if we're also 100% fearless. But even if you nerf us and give us fear, I still believe that we will win even if we are terrified out of our minds. Because there is another factor we need to consider: fight or flight. We need to consider this physiological response of the human body under extreme stress, adrenaline. When we are faced with a perceived threat, the human body floods with adrenaline, a hormone that temporarily enhances strength, increases pain tolerance, sharpens senses, and quickens reaction times. For 100 individuals facing a singular large animal, this adrenaline surge would make each person temporarily stronger, more resilient, and more focused than they would be in normal circumstances. This collective boost would contribute significantly to our ability to engage. Now, we've all heard stories of a child getting stuck under a car and a 120-pound frail of a woman, mother, deadlifting a 2,000-pound car, overhead pressing it over their head and throwing it thousands of miles into outer space out of pure sheer will and adrenaline. Now, that is an over exaggeration, but you get my point on how strong adrenaline is. People, small women especially, have actually lifted cars off their children before due to adrenaline. And now we need to consider the different methods of engagement. Humans are not limited to just punching, which is often perceived as weak against a gorilla. We can also use kicks, which are considerably stronger than punches and can be delivered with greater force to specific targets. Now, if we look, punches are roughly, according to the old Google, 120 to 150 psi. You're right, that probably won't do a whole lot against a gorilla. But you punch him enough, you do a little rapid fire, it'll eventually bring him down. But a kick, however, an average man can generate a force of around 1,000 pounds. Multiply that by 100, you get 100,000 pounds. Now, if you want that in tons, I can also do that. Divide it by 2,000, which is the number of pounds in a ton, and you get 50 tons. Imagine if we all kick this gorilla all simultaneously, which I know would be impossible, but that would be a result of 50 tons hitting this gorilla all at once, which would be enough to instantly disintegrate it and turn it to ash and dust, thereby giving us a victory with one move. And now we need to consider the weak points of a gorilla, which are the same as the weak points of a human. We want to target the vulnerable points such as the eyes, the nose, the throat, the ears, and the tongue. These are the areas where the gorilla's immense muscle and bone offer little protection. A coordinated assault with individuals striking at these spots will be far more effective than brute force alone. Another key factor we need to keep in mind is endurance. Gorillas are incredibly powerful for short bursts, but they are not built for sustained exertion. Their physiology is designed for powerful, explosive movements, not long chases or prolonged fights. Humans, on the other hand, possess superior endurance. We are made for long-distance running and sustained activity. A group of 100 men could employ tactics such as constantly harassing and tiring the gorilla, rotating attackers, and wearing it down until its strength and speed are diminished. The gorilla would eventually be exhausted, making it more vulnerable to a decisive, coordinated attack. I call this method the good old switcheroo, all right? You get like 10 people, five and like three in the front, two on the side and like two in the back. I don't know if that ends up being 10 people. But anyways, the people in the front, they distract the gorilla, right? Focus on me, you stupid man ape thing. And then the people in the back, they deliver a kick to the rear. It does a 360 like a stupid little Beyblade that doesn't know what in the world's going on. All right. And then the other people, they kick it. And it just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning until eventually it creates a tornado that disintegrates it from the inside out. All right. You don't even need any more than that. The first group alone will ensure victory. No, but in reality, it's important to acknowledge that as such a confrontation, it is highly probable that some human casualties would occur. The gorilla's sheer power and bite force are undeniable threats, and it would likely inflict serious injury or death upon individuals it managed to strike. However, the ultimate outcome of the battle, due to the overwhelming numerical superiority, strategic coordination, and the ability to exploit weaknesses, would be the incapacitation and eventual defeat of the gorilla. Now, to further illustrate the often overstated power of the gorilla, let's look at its natural predators, leopards. Solitary hunters significantly smaller and less powerful than gorillas have been documented successfully preying on gorillas. If a single leopard can take down a gorilla, it challenges the notion that a gorilla is an unkillable force. Now let's look at a well-known story about a man named Carl Achille, which was an American taxidermist and naturalist in 1896. During an expedition in Africa, Achille was attacked by a leopard. The leopard lunged at him, and he instinctively threw up his arm to protect himself. The leopard bit his arm, and in a desperate act of self-preservation, Achille forced his fist down the animal's throat. He used his other hand to choke the leopard while driving his fist further into its mouth. The struggle eventually led to the leopard's death. Now, one leopard killed one gorilla. One man killed one leopard. Therefore, one man can kill one gorilla. But in reality, one gorilla would absolutely obliterate one man. But 100 men wouldn't stand a chance. The gorilla wouldn't stand a chance. All right. We get some man to pull the Tarzan technique. All right, where he just jumps on its back and puts it in a rear neck choke hold like a UFC fighter on a hot Friday night. Why I said it was a hot Friday night, I have no idea. But that's what we're going to do. All right. Then someone else, they sacrifice their arm and shove their fist down the gorilla's throat. All right. Now, the gorilla is undoubtedly an incredibly strong and impressive animal, but it has been significantly overhyped and portrayed as overpowered in popular discourse. Its strength is immense, but it is not without limits, and it is certainly not immune to coordinated intelligent attacks from a large group. And now for my really hot take. Based on everything I said, I believe that 100 average men could take down any single animal in the entire kingdom. I don't care if it's an elephant or a great white shark. 100 men are taking it down, no weapons needed. Just the sheer will and power of the human mind and unity. All right? Now, if you want me to make a video on another animal and exploit its weaknesses and tell you how 100 men would undoubtedly win, then like and subscribe and let me know which animal down below.